My neighbor brought me food every single day for a year. Cooked meals, groceries, medicine when I was sick. I thought she was the kindest person I'd ever met. Then I found a folder in her car, and I realized none of it was kindness. It started the worst year of my life. My husband left in March. No warning, no fight. Just a note on the kitchen counter that said, "I can't do this anymore." 8 years, gone in 11 words. I didn't eat for 3 days after that. I just sat on the couch staring at the wall, trying to figure out what this meant. Was this me? Was I the thing he couldn't do anymore? I had no family nearby. My parents were gone. My sister lived 2 states away and had her own mess to deal with. I was completely alone. And then, she showed up. Her name was Dana. She lived 2 houses down. We'd waved at each other for years, but never really talked. The kind of neighbor you recognize but don't know. One morning, she knocked on my door holding a container of soup. "I made too much," she said. "Figured you could use some." I almost cried right there. I didn't know it then. But that soup was the beginning of a lie that would take me an entire year to uncover. After that first day, Dana came back, and back, and back. Every morning, there she was. Sometimes with food, sometimes with coffee. Sometimes she'd just sit with me on the porch and say nothing. She drove me to doctor's appointments when the anxiety got so bad I couldn't hold a steering wheel. She helped me file the divorce papers. She held my hand in the lawyer's office when I broke down. By summer, she wasn't just my neighbor. She was my best friend, my only friend. She told me about her own life, said she'd been through something similar, a bad marriage, years of loneliness. She said she understood what it felt like to be invisible. "That's why I'm here," she told me once, "because no one was there for me." And I believed her, every word. By fall, I started to feel like myself again. I was eating, sleeping. I even laughed sometimes. I gave Dana credit for all of it. I told everyone, "My neighbor saved my life." I meant it. But here's the thing about people who show up uninvited every single day. At some point, you have to ask yourself, why? I never did. And that was my mistake. The first sign came in November. I was cleaning out my garage, finally getting rid of my ex-husband's things, and Dana offered to help. We loaded boxes into her car. While she was inside grabbing another box, I went to move her passenger seat back, and I saw a folder tucked under the seat. It had my name on it, not Lauren, my full legal name, Lauren Michelle Cordero. I opened it. Inside were printed copies of my property records, my mortgage statements, my divorce filing, the one she helped me fill out, tax records, an appraisal of my house dated 2 months before my husband even left. 2 months before, my hands started shaking. At the bottom of the folder was a handwritten note. It wasn't Dana's handwriting. It was my husband's. It said, "She trusts you. When the time comes, she'll sign." I read that note 4 times. Each time, a different part of my life with Dana started to collapse. I didn't confront her that day. I couldn't. Instead, I went home and started digging. I pulled up every document she'd helped me sign during the divorce, every form, every legal filing. And there it was. Buried in the settlement paperwork was a clause I'd never noticed, one that would transfer a portion of my home equity into a shared trust, a trust managed by a company I'd never heard of. I looked up the company. It had 1 registered officer, Dana's maiden name. My husband hadn't just left me. He'd sent someone to manage me, to get close, to earn my trust. to make sure I signed everything without reading the fine print. Dana wasn't my friend. She was his exit strategy. Every meal, every drive, every tear she wiped, it was all part of a plan to take my house, my money, and the last thing I had left. The soup was never because she made too much. It was because she needed me to open the door. But I didn't fall apart this time. Not like before. Because this time, I had something I didn't have when my husband left. Proof. I hired a real attorney. A good one. Within 2 weeks, we had everything. The forged clauses, the shell company, the paper trail connecting Dana and my ex-husband going back over a year. They'd been planning this since before he left. The lawyer said I had grounds for fraud, conspiracy, and financial abuse. My ex tried to settle. I said no. Dana blocked my number. I didn't care. The case went to mediation. My ex-husband lost the house entirely. The trust was dissolved. Dana was named in the fraud filing and barred from practicing as a notary, which surprised she was. She'd notarized my documents herself, with a smile. I kept my home. I kept everything. And for the first time in over a year, I sat on my porch alone, and it didn't feel lonely. It felt free. I used to think the worst thing that happened to me was my husband leaving. It wasn't. The worst thing was trusting someone who was paid to be kind. But here's what I learned. Betrayal doesn't define you. What you do after you find the folder under the seat, that's what defines you. If someone in your life seems too perfect, too present, too eager to help with no reason, ask the question I didn't ask for a year. Why? If this story hit you, subscribe. I tell stories like this every week, real, raw, and honest. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. And if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, tell me in the comments. You're not alone.